I think that there is unanimity on the point that there is a lot to be learned, not only about what the Russians are doing, but what other adversaries could do as well. General Kaine, Chairman Kaine, would you agree that there are lessons to be learned from Ukraine?
You bet, Senator, and there's lessons learned from everywhere, and that's really the culture of our joint force right now, is to make sure that across the globe, anytime we're in contact with the enemy, we're going back and determining what we can learn from there. But a big one, if you'll allow me, a big one is mass and simultaneity, which is something the Secretary's taken a strong role in making sure that we're doing that through drone evaluations and things like that moving forward.
Following up on a question that I asked earlier, my last question, the President said yesterday that his view is, after his conversation with Vladimir Putin, that Ukraine has been, quote, militarily defeated. In your professional judgment, has Ukraine been militarily defeated?
Sir, I haven't seen the President's quote, but I'll go back to something I started with, and that's the importance of me maintaining trust with a variety of people. And a president will make a wide range of comments and considerations as the commander-in-chief.
You don't have to go too much farther. I understand the point that you're making.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it, Senator.
In my view, Ukraine has not only not been militarily defeated, but the point that I was trying to make in the last exchange with the Secretary, there's a false narrative based on my last visit to Ukraine, which was my 9th, my conversation not only with President Zelensky, but with our own military on the ground, as well as our intelligence community. In fact, Ukraine arguably is winning. There is this false narrative, Russia's winning. Putin wants that false narrative to be our official narrative. I'm not putting words in your mouth, and you don't have to respond. I understand your reasons for not responding, but the American people should know that the President of the United States is undermining our security because Ukraine is holding the line against Vladimir Putin, who will keep going against Moldova, which I also visited on my last trip, against our NATO allies, and we still have an obligation under Article 5 to come to their defense, just as they did after 9/11, as King Charles so eloquently reminded us. And
the room had settled into its usual rhythm, measured, procedural, until the chair turned and recognized Richard Blumenthal. I could sense a shift immediately. He leaned forward, composed but deliberate, and began not with confrontation, but with gratitude. He thanked the Secretary for backing the Major Richard Starr Act, calling it a meaningful step for veterans. I watched as he tied that support to urgency. He wanted it done before Veterans Day. There was a quiet insistence in his tone, the kind that doesn't need volume to carry weight. But he didn't stay there long. The conversation pivoted quickly to the war in Ukraine. Blumenthal spoke about his discussions with military commanders, stressing that the conflict was more than distant headlines. It was a classroom of hard lessons. When he turned to General Kaine, asking whether those lessons were real, the answer came without hesitation. Yes, Kaine affirmed, pointing to how modern warfare, especially drone operations and coordinated attacks, was reshaping military thinking in real time.
And my view is, and this observation is hardly novel, that China is watching what we're doing in Ukraine. Would you agree?
Sir, I'd agree that China's watching everywhere and carefully thinking about what their force posture and approach will be. And I think they're learning a variety of things, to include the tenacity and grit of the joint force around the things that we've been ordered to do over the last year.
But if they see weakness in our response to Russia in Ukraine, that will affect the deterrence of their possibly moving against one of our allies or partners in the Far East. Let me finally ask Mr. Hurst, your estimate of $25 billion, would you share with us what that estimate is based on?
Yeah, we can work to get you a product with the details if you'd like.
And finally, Mr. Secretary, is there going to be a report on the bombing of the school in the first day or so of the war? I know you were asked about it yesterday. I'm wondering whether you have a more detailed response that you can share with us.
As I've said, that's under investigation of 15-6. A general officer from outside the chain of command has been reviewing it, and it's still within the parameters of the investigation.
Will there be a preliminary report in the next few weeks, or do you have a time estimate?
I don't have a time estimate for you, but it will be, it's right now within the parameters of the length of time that normally these investigations take.
I'm asking because in your final response to Senator Gillibrand, you said that great care is taken to avoid civilian casualties, and it would be profoundly significant if that report were made available in a timely way to show, in fact, the commitment to avoiding civilian casualties and learning lessons from the mistake made there.
By the time Blumenthal moved questions about a $25 billion estimate and an ongoing investigation into a school bombing, the tension had settled into something heavier. The answers came, but cautiously, details pending, investigations ongoing. As the chair finally moved to close the exchange, I was left with a sense that this wasn't just another hearing. It was a snapshot of a much larger global chessboard, one where every word, every hesitation carried consequences far beyond the room.